B man is back.
Oh, okay, Jay, boys, do it again. Oh my gosh, the ring got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered. You know what I'm saying? It's true. You know what I'm saying? But oh, look at that! Oh my God!
This is your boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, That's the True Inferno. Back at it with another Call of Duty Black Ops 7 content video gameplay for you guys. And this is actually the second video I'm recording this day. It's currently May the 6th, and this video should be released on May the 27th. Now, I already displayed it in the last video, but in case you missed it for some strange reason, and that last video is very informative, so I highly suggest you pause this video and watch last week's video because it is very informative. We go into the whole PlayStation DRM situation. But we're gonna move on from PlayStation over to Nintendo. And this might seem like a rewind, but this video actually has some merit behind it, more so than the last one. So what am I talking about? You read the title. You saw this what is it? The screenshot of this video. I'm gonna basically read this article from IGN, and it's titled "Nintendo Under Pressure to Raise Switch 2 Console Price as Hardware Currently Sold at a Loss," report. So this was done by Tom Phillips on the exact day I'm recording this video. So let's get into it with this article rather. Nintendo is reportedly facing pressure to raise the price of Switch 2 consoles as costs rise and its share price continue to fall. A new report by Bloomberg has highlighted the continuing decline of Nintendo stock, despite a positive bump in March due to the launch of the Switch 2 exclusive Pokemon Pocopia, which is a great game. And as it stands right now, in my honest opinion, that's a Game of the Year contender. Granted, obviously Resident Evil Requiem is a part of that mix. I don't know about, what's the new joint? Prague Grammar? How you pronounce that joint? I don't know about that one. Like, I heard some people like it and other people are like kind of laughing at it, I guess. So I don't know about that. But the Pocopia being Game of the Year contender, it won't last because there's going to be other games coming out later this year that's going to obviously bump it out of that contention. But getting back to the article, now ahead of the company's next financial earnings release this coming Friday, Nintendo faces scrutiny from shareholders over whether it will finally budge on the Switch 2 launch price after raising the price of the pretty much everything else, rather. This includes the Switch 1, by the way, which is stupid. But nevertheless, moving on. Nintendo Switch 2 just launched last June, priced at $450. In Japan, a region-locked version of the console is sold at 50,000 yen, which is equivalent to $318. That's interesting. But moving on. Both of these prices reportedly see the hardware sold at a loss, particularly so in Japan. But moving on. Exactly how much of a loss Switch 2 is sold at isn't clear, though one analysis told Bloomberg that even a $50 to $100 price increase would mean the console was made less of a burden rather than truly profitable. Okay, that's interesting, but let's move on. While hardware makers have frequently sold consoles at loss leaders in the past, opting to instead make their money back on software and accessories, which is true, Nintendo has ditched this strategy for the original Switch following the bruising losses of the Wii U era, but is then apparently changed course to ensure the hugely successful Switch were followed by another hit console at a price point that would convince customers to upgrade. The question of whether Nintendo will increase Switch 2 costs comes now amid a continued decline in the company's share price over the past year, from record highs seen ahead of the Switch 2 arrival. This is despite the console selling well, especially in Japan, albeit with international sales over Christmas that were somewhat slower than hoped. Still, analysts believe it is Nintendo's continued refusal to increase the Switch 2's cost that is impacting the company's value. Nintendo itself has hinted it may need to increase the Switch 2 price at some point after previously upping the cost of Switch 2 accessories, including alternative higher pricing for physical Switch 2 games, and even giving a price hike to the aging Nintendo Switch 1, which I already talked about. And of course, Nintendo will not be alone in upping the cost of its current console hardware. something both Sony and Microsoft have done over the past year in response to component shortage and U.S. tariffs, with yet more uncertainty now due to the conflict in the Middle East. And by the way, Sony and Microsoft have raised their prices on their respective consoles twice within the past 12 months. So I just want to throw that out there. Well, and Microsoft did it, twice within a 12-month period. Sony did it twice within the last 12 months. So let me be more specific. All right, but let's move on. But as Bloomberg's article concludes, Nintendo must now strike a delicate balance. Any Switch 2 price raise to appease shareholders simultaneously risks upsetting customers, or consumers rather, and slowing Switch 2's rollout at what is still an early phase in its life cycle. The console's user base is sizable for its first year, which is at 17 million as of December 31st, but still a fraction of the long-lived Switch 1, which is at 155 million to date. How long can Nintendo hold off a price raise? Only time will tell. Okay. Here's the problem with shareholders. And I'm not going to go as far to say shareholders are trash, because I'm looking to be a shareholder myself at some point in time. Not necessarily with Nintendo, I don't know. But at some point in time, yeah, I'm going to be a shareholder for a company so I can make that drop. But in this case, the problem is the shareholders have this stupid mentality that by raising the price, people are just going to flock in and buy a Switch 2. And I'm like, if people, like I said, I've been telling people for a while now, yo, you need to get a Switch 2 right now. You need to get a Switch 2 right now because the price increase is going to be coming. There was no facts behind this, and even despite reading this article, it's still not fact because it's not up to the shareholders to do this. It's up to Nintendo to do it. And apparently Nintendo, as it stands right now, or as it appears to me, Nintendo is disagreeing with its shareholders. That's how it's looking right now. But that could change because shareholders do have some leeway here. Because it's like, yo, if you don't do this, we put our money out. And that would be bad for Nintendo. But the reason why shareholders are so stupid is because you think people are just going to buy the system after the price went up? Like, if the system, apparently, I don't know if the system's selling now or whatever the case may be. I'm assuming that it's not selling right now. If the system is not selling as it is right now, what makes you think it's going to sell after the price go up? That's the whole point here. That's what the point I'm trying to make. People are not going to all of a sudden buy a Switch 2 just because the price go up. That's not how this works, especially with the way things are right nowadays, where everything is going up and the gas prices are going up like crazy. No, nobody's not going to flock over to buy a Switch 2 with everything else that is more important than gaming going up. Like, people are not going to do it. So that's why it's like shareholders are so stupid. So it's like, bro, you have to realize that people are not going to buy a Switch 2 when you raise the prices. And like one dude said, or one person said, raising it to $50 to $100 more isn't enough. Basically, that's basically what he was saying. Or what they're saying rather. Isn't enough. So I'm like, it's bad enough that people are not buying the Switch 2 where it is right now. Granted, we're talking $450 to $500. I don't know how much that Pocopia version costs. I mean, I could look it up real quick, but the Mario Kart bundle, that mug was $500, and the system by itself was $450. I believe that the system should have came out at $400, but $400 to $450 with the bundle. But the extra $50, I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. But if they would have raised the price, first of all, it won't be by no $50. It's gonna be more than $50. So there's that. It's probably gonna be 100, maybe even 150 if they decide to do that again, according to what that one person says. So there's that. But let me see how much is this bundle is with the Pocopia bundle. I have no clue how much that thing costs because I don't need it. I got both games already. So it's like I don't need to get the game nor the system. Cause I already got, and in fact, I got the system with Mario Kart because to me that's the better deal than getting that Mario Kart game separately because that makes no sense. So there's that. I'm not seeing a legitimate pricing point for this bundle. And okay, look like it's still, wait a minute, no. I don't know how much it is. I don't know how much the bundle is. I'm gonna assume that is $500. I don't know, USD that is. I don't know. I generally have no clue how much this thing costs. I'm assuming it's $500, similar to Mario Kart World. So there's that. But basically, the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. Now is the time to get a Switch 2 because it, like, again, I don't know how legitimate, again, even though there's no facts that the price increase is going to come, but I would not be surprised if it does. So with that said, yeah, you need to get a Switch 2 right now. But at the same time, these shareholders are dumb trying to get the prices of the system to go up. And like the rule of thumb is like you make the money back from the games and the accessories. That normally how it works. You don't try to raise the prices of the system or put the price point of the system at a crazy amount to the point where people can't even afford it. And then you talk about raising the prices of the games. That's not going to cut it. That's how you kill gaming. That's how you kill console gaming, to be exact. So this is not ideal. Should the price remain as it is? I want to say yes, but if the system isn't selling, then I don't know. They probably need to come out with bundles, because you want to know. Let me be real with you. You want to know why the Switch 1, even though I think that was a high pitch a little bit, but you want to know why the Switch 1 was so successful? I got like 2 different versions of the Switch 1 because they came with different bundles. That's the main reason. Like, if they were doing the crap with if they were doing the same strategy right now as they did with the Switch 1. So basically what they're doing with the Switch 2, if they were to use it for the Switch 1, it would not sold as much as it would, because people would be like, oh, I got the Switch 1 already, and they're done with it. Like, Nintendo are slow when it comes to different Switch 2 bundles and the look of the Switch 2. So that's why the Switch 1 sold so well, because people were getting more than one version of the Switch 1 because of the different bundles, the different designs, and all that stuff. Like, yo, I got 2 Switch 1 systems. So it's like, bruh, if they were to do the same thing for the Switch 2, yeah, sales will be great for them, but they haven't done it yet. That's the main thing that they need to do, not raise the prices of the system, because here's the thing, just come out with different versions of the Switch 2, like in terms of like a Pocopia version, or they just announced a new Star Fox game, a Star Fox bundle where the system looks similar to, like, it's like customized with Star Fox stuff. Something like that. Like, this was what they were doing with the Switch 1. If they were to do that with the Switch 2, sales would go up. Sales would go up. But they haven't done it yet. For some dumb reason, they haven't done it yet. Even with the Mario Kart World Bundle, it's not decked out in Mario Kart attire or anything like that. No. Which is fine, because that's day 1 of the Switch 2 life cycle. Okay, that's fine. But after that, like, yo, when the Donkey Kong game came out, I don't remember that was Switch 1 or Switch 2. I think that was Switch 2. They should have came out with a Donkey Kong Switch 2 bundle with the system decked out in Donkey Kong attire. They should have done that. Pocopia, I don't know if they're going to do that here. Looks like that's not the case. They missed out on that. When this Star Fox game drop in June, they need to come out with a Switch 2 bundle and have the system decked out in Star Fox attire. The new Pokemon games, Winds and Raves, they need to come out with a Switch 2 version with the system decked out in Winds Rave attire. That's what they need to do. But for some odd reason, they're not doing that. So yeah, the system is not selling as the Switch is, rather. I'm about to say the Wii. Well, that too. But it's not selling as the Switch because they don't have different versions of it. And granted, it's too early in this cycle. Like, what? We talking like a year. Yep, we talking a year. So, and the Switch been around for like, what, a decade? So yeah, obviously the sales are going to be higher because the Switch has been constantly selling. Because they come out with different versions of it. We are only just a year into the Switch 2. So I'm like, yo, shareholders need to they need to shut up. They need to chill. And Nintendo need to stop messing around and come out with different versions of the Switch 2 where the system look decked out in Mario and Pokemon and Kirby and even Donkey Blank Blank and Star Fox and whatever other properties that they have. Because if they do that, yeah, people will buy more Switch 2 consoles despite it costing $450 or $500 or $550, depending on how much it is with that bundle. So there you go with that. I'm calling a wrap now. And with all that said, y'all know this is your boy New Jay Gatsby, aka New Steve Name Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.